Within space exploration, water is one of the most important resources in terms of the energy it provides for humans, fuel it provides for engines, and most importantly, its indication of life. NASA's Spirit mission was developed with the focus of searching for water and was highly successful in providing substantial evidence of past water and general findings. Spirit was launched by NASA on June 10, 2003 at around 6 p.m. Eastern Time from Cape Canaveral, Florida. About 6 months later, on January 4, 2004, the lander, which was cushioned by airbags, landed on the surface of Mars. It hit the surface at a speed of 46 feet per second, or about 31 miles per hour. The airbags caused it to bounce around, and then it rolled for about 900 feet. The lander ended up 8 miles from where the planned target was. The mission landing spot was chosen to be Gusev Crater, a place where scientists believe there was once ancient water in the form of a lake. Gusev Crater is about 100 miles wide from the center, so even though the lander rolled for quite a distance, it still ended up in the crater. Notably, Opportunity, which is Spirit's twin mission and contained all the same instruments, landed at Meridiani Planum, which was another site that scientists believed may have had water. The central objective of the Spirit mission was to find signs of ancient water. In order to achieve this, the rover searched for different types of rocks and soils that may have contained evidence of past water. The mission's broader objectives were to explore the Martian surface and gather data on the Martian climate.
The Spirit Rover had 8 main scientific tools as part of the mission. Those tools were the panoramic camera, the microscopic imager, the mini thermal emission spectrometer, the Mossbauer spectrometer, the alpha particle X-ray spectrometer, the rock abrasion tool, the magnet array, and the calibration targets. We will go into each of these separately. The panoramic camera is actually 2 cameras that work together. The goal of the cameras was to capture high-quality 3D images of the surface on Mars. On the other hand, the microscopic imager gives a close-up, magnified view of rocks. Because of this, it helps find possible targets for the rover to study. The next section we are going to cover is the spectrometers. Basically, a spectrometer is any tool that measures anything on a spectrum, such as light or color. The Spirit rover had 3 spectrometers on board that it used to measure different things. But in the end, all of these spectrometers were working to figure out what materials samples were made of. For example, the mini thermal emission spectrometer measured different spectrums of infrared light or heat that were emitted from different minerals in both rocks and soils. The tool is specifically designed to look for minerals and other materials that are formed in and by water. The Mossbauer spectrometer is a tool that allows scientists to determine both the type and amount of iron-bearing minerals in samples that are studied by the rover. It can either be used for study right next to the samples, or it can examine magnetic dust samples, which are collected by the magnetic array, which will be covered later. Finally, the alpha particle X-ray spectrometer uses both X-rays and alpha particles to determine the chemical composition of rocks and soils. These samples are blasted with either the X-rays or the alpha particles, and the rover measures the reaction the sample has and determines what the material is made out of. The rock abrasion tool doesn't measure anything, but it is still a crucial component of the payload nonetheless. The tool has a set of teeth that rotate and dig into the Martian surface. It does this in order to reveal potential minerals that can be collected and analyzed by the rest of the rover's tools, such as the spectrometers. The magnet array is one way that the rover collects samples. The magnetic dust is attracted to the array, and then the other scientific instruments analyze it. Finally, the calibration targets are a series of smaller instruments that allow the larger scientific tools to adjust themselves to external factors and determine accurate colors and brightnesses among other information collected by the instruments. All of the instruments worked together to achieve the mission goal of finding evidence of ancient water and came across a few major discoveries. One major discovery made by the rover was a patch of silica, which was clear evidence pointing towards past water on Mars. There are 4 main hypotheses as to how this silica formed, all of which involve water. The first is an interaction between soil and acidic steam, which was most likely produced by volcanic activity. Another is that water was in a hot spring environment, which led to the formation of the silica. 2 more hypotheses include the stripping of other materials or the adding of the silica, both of which require water.
of volcanoes being highly active and explosive in the past. This evidence was found in a place that is called home plate. The rover discovered bomb sag in this region. Bomb sag is when materials get launched into the air and then land on softer materials, causing the surface to deform. However, the home plate area is covered in basaltic rocks, and basaltic lava doesn't necessarily erupt in an explosive way. But Steve Squires of Cornell University says that one way for basaltic lava to cause an explosion is for it to come in contact with water. It's the pressure from the steam that causes it to go boom. So this is even more evidence of ancient water on Mars. Squires adds that the composition of the rocks in the home plate area also provide evidence of ancient water. The rocks have a high chlorine content, which may point towards these rocks coming in contact with some sort of brine. Brine is a type of salty water. The potential brine would have had a high chlorine content, and by coming in contact with the brine, the rocks would have absorbed some of the chlorine. On May 1st of 2009, the lander got stuck in the Martian soil. It could not be moved and stayed there near home plate for the rest of the mission. On March 22, 2010, NASA's mission controllers could not regain contact with Spirit. While the mission was only meant to last less than about 3 months, it operated and investigated on Mars for over 6 years. Eventually, on May 25, 2011, NASA declared the mission complete. Looking back, we can see now that the Spirit Rover was invaluable in adding to our knowledge of ancient Mars. It provided evidence of ancient water and encouraged future exploration and discovery of Mars and beyond.